This is the After Party, live with Kim McAllister. Pick a couch, grab a drink, and settle into the conversation.
It is the After Party live on a Friday. Look at us, you guys. We made it again. All the way till Friday. I'm so excited to say that this week Tim Sika will be here. He should pop through any minute. But we have a little time to do maybe a story or two before he arrives, and he'll talk about the best movies of the week, or maybe the ones we should avoid. So that happens this week at the movies with Tim Sika in just a few moments. Love working with Michael Schur today on the Mark Thompson show. That was super fun. And last night's Nikki Maduro show was a good one as well. So I hope you made it for that. That show, by the way, if you want to make a note, is every Thursday at 5 p.m. Pacific, right here on YouTube, and then available thereafter on all the podcast platforms like this show is as well. Okay. So the first story I wanted to bring you is this one about this Van Gogh painting. This is crazy. This painting was found wrapped in an IKEA bag and an old bloody pillowcase after it was ripped off. Here is the picture of this incredible Van Gogh. Look at that. That is called the Parsonage Garden at Newnan in Spring. And it is a Van Gogh. It was recovered after it was stolen 3 years. It was missing. It was stolen in 2020. And then someone dropped a bag off, a bright blue IKEA bag. You know those huge IKEA bags that you use to shop around the store? And they dropped it off at this art detective's home. His name is Arthur Brand. And this painting is worth millions. Millions. He says the guy just wanted to return it. And in exchange, he only asked to remain anonymous. So maybe he had a change of heart. Maybe he realized he couldn't sell it. I don't know. It was covered in bubble wrap, tucked inside a blood-stained pillow, which happened because of the cut on the hand of the thief. The Groninger Museum in the Netherlands owns this painting. They say they were overjoyed, but they also realized when it was returned, it was stolen in 2020 and returned in 2023. He wondered where it had been sitting all that time. They said it did suffer some damage during the 3 years that it was away from the museum, so they had it under repair. And now, after all of the repair work has been done, it is back on public display. The museum says, "We are very happy that it is back. This work is very special to the museum. They say, do have more works by Van Gogh in the collection, but this one is the only painting." It was on temporary exhibition at the Singer-Lauren Museum in Southeast Amsterdam when it was ripped off. The security footage showed this guy wearing a mask. He used a sledgehammer to break 2 layers of protective glass and then ran out of the museum with this Van Gogh painting. The court system in this region identifies the man only as Nils M. He was sentenced to 8 years in prison for stealing artworks, including this, the Parsonage Garden, in 2 separate museum heists. But by the time they got to him, he was no longer in possession of the paintings. They think they were circulating on the black market. So the person who dropped it off likely is not the thief. Maybe someone who bought it, loves art. We don't know. But the art detective who got a hold of it did this unboxing video where he unwrapped and took this painting out of the IKEA bag and the old bloody pillow and bubble wrap, and the video shows his joy. So now it's back on public display, public domain once again for this Van Gogh that had been missing. Thank goodness it's okay and all is well. Okay, all is well here on the After Party Live. I'm super excited. It's Friday. I get my my Tim Sika fix. It is At the Movies with Tim Sika. Hello, Tim.
Hello, Kim.
Hi.
Hi.
Welcome aboard. So glad to have you.
Oh, thank you for having me, as always.
This first movie, Michael Snyder just reviewed this, and he said this is up my alley. It's called You, Me, and Tuscany.
Oh, geez. I was going to say, do I have to talk about this movie? I guess I do. Yeah, it kind of, I would say, I would agree with Michael in that it's up your alley, but I don't. Okay.
No?
What's the opposite of a banger, Kim? A terrible song, right? I don't know.
It's a no. It's
what
You,
did
Me,
he
and
think?
Tuscany.
I'm curious what he thought of it. Do you remember what he said about it? I didn't hear.
I took notes. He said that, and I hate to misquote him because he gets really upset and texts me after.
No, does he? Well, we don't want to be misrepresented, Yeah.
I believe he said it does what it sets out to do, that it's rather Hallmarkish, but that it doesn't offer any real surprises.
Well, I pretty much agree with that, although I think my reaction was more vehement. I thought, really, to me, this was a grotesquely by the numbers rom-com, which I suspect will even test the patience of diehard fans of the genre like yourself. And I'll tell you, I love the title. I will say that. It's rhythmical, it rhymes, you, me, and Tuscany. But I wish the movie had more charm than the title. Okay, what is it about? Halle Bailey. I always have to pause when I say her name because I want to say Halle Berry.
Right.
But anyway, she's a young star, young actress. She's a pretty good actress. She plays in this movie a once wannabe chef, right? Who gave up that dream when her mother died. And instead, she became this professional house sitter for wealthy people in New York. And who, oh God, the plot, really just recalling the plot makes me want to cringe, but against the wishes of her best friend, she travels to Tuscany. I'm going to cut out the details because they don't matter. I don't know if because Tuscany is a land of foodies or something. I don't know. But anyway, once she gets there, she squats in the home of this guy that she barely crossed paths with while she was living in the States. And anyway, once there, she's accidentally discovered by his family, who think, oh, she's this man's, whom she briefly met. She's his fiance. Oh. And so she perpetuates this, this charade. And who, then of course, spoiler alert, but this is coming because it's really not a spoiler alert because this is coming. It's so obvious and it's in the trailer anyway. She winds up falling in love with his brother, played by Reggae Jean Page, the guy that is in Bridgerton.
I do like that guy.
I was going to say, I don't know what women see in this guy, but anyway, okay. But everything about this movie annoyed me. The ridiculousness of the script, the arch setup. It played to me like an AI movie or a paint by numbers movie. It had that feeling and pacing. The performances were annoying. They were everything was exaggerated. The actors connected not one whit. Aziza Scott, in particular, as Halle Bailey's best friend, she's particularly grating. Her vocal delivery was like nails on a chalkboard. She was almost, in my opinion, fostering a kind of unconscious, offensive black stereotype in her performance. Cardboard is the way I would describe it. This entire movie is cardboard. It's cartoony, it's tiresome, it's irritating, it's cheesy, it's loud, it's sitcom-y, it's overwrought, it's overplayed in every department. It's corny, cutesy, coy, manipulative, and it's just not credible. It's as if the filmmaker and the writers approached this story, oh God help me if anybody listening likes this movie, as if the audience were stupid and needed everything spelled out for them in the most obvious and unsubtle ways. Best thing about it, though, the Tuscany photography. But you'd have to be a real idiot to mess that up because it's a beautiful city and it's a gorgeous city. Anyway, why are you laughing? Anyway,
you're so funny. Oh my God!
A better movie with Tuscany in as a character is Audrey Wells's Under the Tuscan Sun with Diane Lane. That came out in 2003. Now, that was a very intelligent, really beautiful rom-com in my opinion. But You and Me in Tuscany, oh man, I mean, I say avoid it like the plague, really, unless you're a diehard fan, and then what
No,
do I know? What can I tell you? I'm just. I also think
avoid
it's
like
interesting
the
that
plague.
yeah, I was gonna say that it's interesting though, in a way, that this movie made me react in such a visceral way. So maybe there's something in it. I don't know, but it may. Oh, okay. And I have to. Okay, I'm gonna confess this on the air. I walked out 5 minutes before it ended. I said,
Oh,
I can't. And then but I checked. You can find anything online these days. I checked on the ending, and I thought, yeah, this is.
not a
I
surprise.
knew this 5 minutes into the movie, and they put me through this cute. Oh my God! If I could have done a Purple Rose of Cairo thing and gone into the movie, I would have strangled all the people involved.
Agent Kitty Feet says, I love it when Tim hates a movie.
Oh, well, I no more hate from me for the rest of the show. No more hate. I'm gonna.
That was the best.
Okay.
I don't think I've ever enjoyed a movie review more. 2 thumbs up then, Tim says, be aware.
No, like let's take everybody we know 100 thumbs down. Let's do that.
With the sizzle, how long until it will be on YouTube?
Yeah, probably a week. But who knows? I am no good at predicting how these movies are going to play with I would be a terrible I'd be a terrible suit, because everything I would say this isn't going to go anywhere would probably make billions of dollars.
No, I think you're probably right. Eileen says, don't spend money on this. Wait for streaming while folding laundry. Even this kind of movie, like, because I'm a big rom-com while I'm folding laundry, because you don't have to pay attention really. It's kind of like a nice romance in the background. You can half pay attention. It's fine. And
it's pretty, right? Pretty to look at.
But you know what they do with rom-coms? They think if they take you to Paris or they take you to Tuscany, then it doesn't matter what the story is. They can just throw the pretty pictures on the screen and you're good to go. But that doesn't always work, especially when you have an annoying voice. When they do that vocal fry, that grating thing.
Oh God, yes.
That's the kind of voice you're talking about. That's immediately a turn off for me. Like, a turn off by I turn off the TV. Yeah.
I literally, there were times during the movie where I just blocked my ears every time this one character came on in particular. I just said, I can't listen to this. I should leave right now and just not file a review on this dog. Anyway.
Maud says, there was another cutesy Tuscany Hallmark type I have seen that I can't remember the title. Looks like the same old broad finds love in Tuscany. Yeah, over and over again, we get the same thing. And because it's romantic and Tuscany and vineyards and old villas, we're like, ooh, but no, sometimes the movie just sucks. And that's it.
It does. But to be fair, to be fair, I mean, I loved Under the Tuscan Sun. I don't know if you've seen that one. Yeah, I just thought that was a lovely film. I love Diane Lane. Yeah, that was an intelligent rom-com. This is like, never mind. I said it all.
After the show, I'm going to call Michael Snyder and I'm going to yell at him for saying this is right up my alley. No, thank you.
Yeah, I know. When you said that, I was hesitant to even open my mouth.
What does he think of me?
He meant, I think what he probably meant, although I don't want to do, it's a rom-com. Yeah, sure.
I like a good love story. I'm not afraid to admit it.
But you said it, Kim. You said it. It's the best thing to do while you're folding laundry or ironing or whatever. Yeah. Do something else. Yeah, but don't pay attention to it because you'll just get pissed.
Don't do it. No. Agent Kitty Feet says, about 10 years ago, I was in Italy with my girlfriends. They were dead set on doing a bicycle tour of Tuscany. It was 98 degrees out and we were some sweaty, miserable messes.
Wow.
I guess
interesting. Yeah.
Tuscany is not always so romantic and fun, huh?
It's the place to go if you want to fall in love with the person you don't think you're going to have anything in common with, but because you're there under the blue skies. Oh, give me a break. Never mind.
Oh my gosh. I might just isolate that one review and post it by itself. That was beautiful. The next one is Hamlet.
Hamlet, yeah. And now we get to much better movies. Definitely ones that are much more worth people's precious time. And Hamlet. this is yet another cinematic rendering of Shakespeare's eternal stage masterpiece. This one stars Riz Ahmed, who's in the poster there, who continues to astonish me as a performer. He's got such a commanding and compelling screen presence, which is on full display in this movie.
I've never heard of him. What is
he?
he in?
Well, wait, did we talk about? We talked about him a couple weeks ago. It's been a while. In that Netflix series, what was it called? Not Panic. It had a one-word title. Remember? Yeah, it was a 6-part boy, I can't even remember. Anyway, yeah, because he doesn't make big audience kinds of movies. He's more like a boutique kind of actor thing. Anyway, he's very, very good in this. He plays the lead. And it's another iteration, like I said, filmed many more times than I can remember here. I mean, Laurence Olivier did a 1948 Oscar-winning version of Hamlet. Zeffirelli did one in 1990 starring Mel Gibson as Hamlet. Kenneth Branagh's 1996 complete version where he filmed the entire text, which was like 4 hours long. Ethan Hawke did a version in 2000, which is the one closest to this version, in that this is also a Hamlet in a modern setting, right, in modern dress. And yeah, what else to say? This is an uncommercial movie, this Hamlet. One's enjoyment of it, I think, could depend upon how much history and knowledge and liking of William Shakespeare is there, to be had on the audience member. But this is an ethnic take too, which is interesting. The cast is largely Muslim and Indian. It's reasonably faithful to the Shakespearean text. They're faithful to the text, yet the text is delivered in an approachable, accessible way. It's obviously pared down. This is by necessity a pared down version of the play with some changes, like in the famous, to be or not to be speech, Hamlet, instead of saying things like bodkin in the line, when I love this play, I know it, I'm going to be going off my head here. The line is in the to be or not to be speech, he says, when he himself might his quietest make with a bare bodkin, the word dagger is substituted for bodkin because that's what a bodkin is. There's other changes. The character of Horatio is omitted, which allows for one of the best lines in the play. And there are just so many great lines and philosophical observations in Hamlet. Since Horatio is admitted, Hamlet delivers that line, there are more things in heaven and earth, Horatio, than are dreamt of in your philosophy. He delivers that line to Ophelia instead. Anyway, I'm getting into the weeds here. I really love Shakespeare. I'm always biased in favor of any new approach to the material, cinematic approaches to his work. And this version is, for a play so dependent on words and the effective delivery of those words, it's cinematic, maybe too cinematic at times, and too in favor of the visual, where instead the writers may have included more of Shakespeare's text instead of these long sequences where you're just watching people go from place to place. And there are things I disliked about this Hamlet. For one, here I go again with dialogue, but the actress who plays Ophelia is unintelligible. She's really good. She's got a grasp of the part, but unlike the men in the cast and the actress who plays Hamlet's mother, Gertrude, she was just badly recorded. Other things, though, that make this movie a must-see: the unconventional casting. Riz Ahmed as the Prince of Denmark, he's just superb. The staging of the to be or not to be speech in a speeding automobile with Hamlet playing cat and mouse with ongoing traffic as he's questioning whether to commit suicide or go on living. It gives really new meaning to Shakespeare's prose. So anyway, I'm really going on here. Despite my own carping, this movie works, and it works as it does, being overall faithful to the spirit of Shakespeare, but it also ultimately works on its own terms as well. Oh, there's also a significant amount of horror film imagery in this movie. The murder of Polonius, oh my God, it could not have been any more graphic. And if just looked at separate from the movie, you'd swear you were watching a horror movie. But yeah.
Wow. Okay. Sounds really interesting. I can't believe they did the to be or not to be speech in traffic. Oh no, Tim went away. Oh, you might have to jump out and then reconnect with us, Tim, if you can hear what I'm saying. You might have to check out and then check back in. I hope everyone can hear me. Can you guys hear me still? Because we can't hear Tim. So let me remove Tim. And I don't know why that happens sometimes. It happened to him the last time he was here too. Ruh-roh, says Tammy. Oh, we hear you, says Be Aware. Okay, so Tim Sika, can you log off and then log back on? And hopefully we'll be able to hear you. We hear you, Kim, but we don't hear Tim. Maybe he needs to reboot. Yeah, so I think he's going to go do that. But regarding the movie, Maud says it depends on who edited the works and who published it, in my opinion. Okay, yeah, thank you for letting me know you can hear me. Sometimes it's hard to know. Is it a problem on my end? Is it a problem on his end? I don't know. You can see all my cords jumping out over here in the corner. My bad, I'm sorry. To be or not to be speech in a speeding car sounds super interesting and inspired. Can't wait to see it, says Teacher Lori. Let's see if we can hear Tim Sika once again.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Absolutely.
I don't know what happened. You know, this happened once before. Yeah,
I
gotta check my settings here. I think it's something from my end. But anyway, I'm back.
I'm glad I have you back. All right,
I can hear you.
Well, we can. Let's jump to the next movie. This one is called The Stranger.
Yeah, this is another movie I liked a lot. Francois Ozon's The Stranger. It's based on this kind of movie is just my cup of tea. Mm-hmm. It's based on the Albert Camus novel about this guy. He's kind of this ambivalent, indifferent human soul who appears to kind of strongly exhibit this pronounced emotional detachment from his environment, his surroundings, and his relationships, who shortly after the death and the funeral of his mother kills an Arab man in Algiers where he resides. And when it's discovered that he killed this Arab man, he goes on trial for murder. That's basically the synopsis of this movie and the novel, actually. Bleak, filmed in stunning black and white. The only way to film Camus actually is in black and white. It's very angsty, this movie. It's very philosophically rich. It's about, the purpose and meaning, or the purposelessness and meaninglessness of life. It's an outstanding rendering of the Camus novel. I've always loved the novel. I read it in college. It's iconic existentialism. This translation is exact and it's spot on. It follows the novel pretty much to a T. It's notably impactful in its direction, its adaptation, its performances. Benjamin Voisin, who's in the poster there as Meursault, the stranger of the title, he delivers a kind of like a classic movie star performance. And I'm still not sure if this guy gives a great performance or he's just visually perfect for this role. I think it's both. And his casting in this role, Kim, is an excellent example of the importance of casting a part in a film. This guy's just amazing just to watch. The camera loves him, and he, without any apparent effort whatsoever, becomes this visual and verbal embodiment of what this story is really about. So anyway, great performance, superbly crafted and photographed movie with lots of thematic grist to chew on and ponder over, excellently directed, appropriately measured in the way in which it unfolds and tells its story. And I don't know, I sort of just unabashedly loved it. It's a French film in French, with English subtitles, but it quickly becomes so engrossing and engaging that you completely forget you're watching a movie in another language. So yeah, if you had to pick just one movie this week to watch, I would say let it be The Stranger. Yeah.
Is that in theaters?
In theaters, yep.
Okay. Your classic movie recommendation of the week is, and I think maybe you did this for Easter. I don't know. That's the greatest story ever told.
Yeah, the greatest story ever told. Though miles away from my own sort of personal, spiritual, and religious beliefs and opinions, but appealing to me as stories with sort of archetypal life lessons. I have to admit that I really love biblical movies, biblical stories like Ben-Hur, The Robe, Quo Vadis, King of Kings, 10 Commandments. I really love these kinds of films that are like comfort movies to me, but maybe because how I was raised. But this version, this is the Christ story. This version, George Stevens' epic life of Christ, it's called Greatest Story Ever Told, is particularly hypnotic and meditative in a profoundly unusual way. And I'll try to explain what I mean by that. But this is also a movie with a storied reputation. It was meant to be filmed and presented in a way that starkly differed from the typical Hollywood approach to making a biblical movie. It took over 5 years to make. It was a major box office disappointment at the time of its release in 1965. And in a way, has become largely forgotten, although film fans and enthusiasts with whom I know and talk to and associate with, many of them have seen this film. And if they haven't ever seen the actual movie, they know of this movie. And I'm bringing it to people's attention now because through the efforts of George Stevens Jr., the son of the film director, this movie finally, after 60 years, has been restored. And it was this restored print, or rather DCP, that was actually or recently screened at the Academy Museum in Los Angeles with an introduction by Guillermo del Toro. This restored 4K version of the film has just been made available to rent on Amazon Prime, and I highly recommend that anybody interested in these kinds of movies check it out post haste. Anyway, Life of Christ. It's based on the Gospel of Mark, I think, and in my opinion, is the best screen version of the life of Jesus, largely because of the presence and the performance of the great Ingmar Bergman ensemble actor Max von Sydow, who is beyond, he's transcendental in this role. And the role of Christ is really, when you look at it, it's kind of unplayable, but von Sydow invests him not only with a kind of otherworldliness, but makes him deeply human, makes the character of Christ human and accessible, but still kind of mysterious. It's a great balance that he achieves in the movie. And there's so much I can say about the whole film. But in terms of what it's about, it cannot be really. I'm watching this movie and I'm thinking, God, it cannot be more timely a movie to watch right now, because the emphasis is on the words of Jesus, the teachings of Jesus, which are more timely now than ever. It's funny. There's a scene where he's talking about, Christ talking about spirituality, and he says famously, everybody knows this line, it's far easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than it is for a rich man or someone of wealth to enter the kingdom of heaven. And I immediately thought of all these super wealthy mega church ministers where money is like everything for them. Anyway, Max von Sydow as Christ is great. Despite the concessions made with this movie to appeal to the general public at the time and the way the standard Hollywood epics treated their biblical movies, like one of the things Stevens did, the director, and it was controversial at the time, he made the decision to cast famous Hollywood actors in bit roles, which tended to pull you out of the movie's spell. Yeah. Like John Wayne popped up at the end as a Roman centurion who had only one line. Shelley Winters had one line which she repeated twice. Despite all of that, because you're going, oh, there's Shelley Winters, oh, there's Sal Mineo, oh, there's Edwin, there's so and so and so and so. The movie is a very reverent, very serious, unlike other previous and post biblical spectacles, artistic approach to the telling of the Jesus story that's almost like a 3-hour and 20-minute meditation. I think the best way to watch this movie, go on Amazon, click on the thing, rent it. It's cheap. It's minimal cost. You lower the lights in your screening room or living room or wherever your television happens to be. Lower your lights, be fully awake, and just let the seriousness and the reverence and the meditative sensibility of the telling just wash over you. It's a very special film, and I think even the non-religious person, if they can get past the occasional dogmatism and the religious literalism that pops up from time to time, I think even non-religious people will find a lot in this movie to savor and to be moved by. I think it's my favorite Jesus movie, and there have been many, but this is my favorite, no question. Max von Sydow alone is worth the price of admission. He's just superb. He's really superb.
Interesting. I agree with, I think it's Tammy who said that the clips of this movie or the pictures that we're showing,
Yeah.
they look like paintings. It's very artsy.
Yes, yes,
Mhm.
that's a great observation. That's one of the things that Stevens, the director, wanted to evoke. He every single scene was like, yeah, was arranged as a
Mhm.
painting, especially the Last Supper. When you see the Last Supper, it looks like one of the famous paintings of the Last Supper. Yeah, yeah, great observation. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
there it
See,
is.
there you go. Yeah.
It really does look like something you would see hanging in a museum,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. That's another thing that makes this movie so special.
Yeah.
It's opinion has been divided on it over the years, but I'm definitely in the pro greatest story ever told camp. I love this movie. Yep.
All right, we are going to recap the Tim Sika review. And we start with you, me, and Tuscany.
Yeah, let's start and end with that.
You said it tests the patience of the rom-com crowd. Obvious, annoying, like an AI or paint by numbers movie. There's no real connection between the actors. It's cardboard, cartoony, cheesy, loud, overwrought, overplayed, not credible. Treats the audience like they're stupid. Tuscany's pretty though, you said. You said watch Under the Tuscan Sun instead. Avoid this movie like the plague. It was a Tim Sika walkout. You, me, and Tuscany, thumbs down. The next movie is called Hamlet. And you said this is Hamlet in a modern setting. It's an ethnic take as well. And though it's pretty faithful to the text, it is pared down a little bit. You said you love Shakespeare, and this version might be a little too cinematic for you. And there were some things you disliked about it, but you said due to the unconventional casting and the to be or not to be speech based in traffic, you said this is a must see, that the movie works. It's faithful to the spirit of Shakespeare. You did say there's some graphic murder scenes, but overall, you say yes to Hamlet. Also, The Stranger. This is a movie that is French with English subtitles. You said this is the movie to see this week. It's based on a Camus novel, follows the novel to a T, but it's bleak. It's done in black and white, as you say they had to do. It's filled with angst. You were impressed by the great casting and the great performances, especially by the lead, and you really loved this one. So you say yes to The Stranger. It's in theaters now. As for your classic movie recommendation of the week, it is your favorite Jesus movie, The Greatest Story Ever Told from 1965. And they've got a new restored version available to rent on Amazon Prime. You said it took them more than 5 years to make this movie and it didn't do well in the box office,
Yeah.
but that it's been restored by the director's son and it's worth checking out. This is The Greatest Story Ever Told. Tim Sika, look at you.
Yeah, they should maybe quote me, say my favorite Jesus movie, Tim Sika, The After Party Live.
My
Yeah.
favorite Jesus movie. If you're gonna watch a Jesus movie, this is the
Yeah.
Jesus movie for you.
Yeah, you go. There you go.
Oh my gosh. We love your reviews. Thank you so
Oh,
much.
thanks, Kim.
And
Thanks.
I have to say that You, Me, and Tuscany, I don't think I'll ever forget your review of that movie. I don't think I've ever seen you have such a visceral negative reaction to a movie as that one.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. Yeah, I even
Yeah.
surprised myself.
Oh my God, you hated it. At the
I
movies,
hated
hated it. At the movies with Tim Sika. Have a really good weekend, Tim.
Yeah, you too, Kim, and we'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
At the Movies with Tim Sika happens just about every Friday, 1:30 p.m. Pacific here on the After Party Live. The videos will be pulled as standalones. You can find them if you click the icon, the circular icon or the show logo on YouTube, and then you click videos. You can see all of Tim Sika's movie reviews that he's ever done are there waiting to be seen. And you can search for the movie as well. And if you're looking for a certain movie and you wonder what Tim Sika thought about that, you can do it that way as well. So that it's a great way to, even if you see something, it's streaming and you're like, oh, I wonder what Tim Sika thought. You can find it just by searching in his movies here on the After Party Live, which is a really cool feature, I think. All right, we'll move forward to another story, and I have this one for you. It is about a baby white rhino, and I just love this picture so much. It's the second white rhino born at this zoo in Ohio, and it was born within weeks of the first one. It's a pretty big deal because these animals are very endangered. So the birth of the southern white rhino calf is being announced. There's a 12-year-old white rhino who was also born at the zoo, also gave birth to a healthy female calf on March 28th. Then a couple weeks later, we get this one. The father has sired 17 calves in his lifetime. So he's good at reproduction. The new female calf has not been introduced to the male calf born earlier this year yet. They're still developing alongside their mothers. And as soon as they begin to explore and interact and show their personalities, they'll introduce the two. But it's exciting to see another white rhino calf born at this zoo in Ohio. And I have another animal story for you, and it's about humpback whales. They have spotted 513 humpback whales at this massive breeding ground in the Caribbean. It is one of the largest whale gatherings they think that has ever been recorded. And I have video. They say it's an extraordinary testament to the power of long-term marine conservation. That decades of conservation have allowed these humpback whales to thrive in the Dominican waters, and the density documented at this place called the Navidad Bank underscores the global importance of creating a sanctuary for treasured marine life. And they did, and they have. And I want to play this video for you of this incredible, extraordinary gathering of all of these beautiful creatures. There's so many of them. So let me take the picture down so you can see what I'm seeing. 513 of these gorgeous humpback whales. They are breeding. They are doing what humpbacks do. This is pretty cool. This is a steadily increasing population. It's scientists aboard a super yacht. They have turned it into a research vessel called the M/Y Solus. They said they were really surprised at the sheer number of whales during their recent excursion to the Caribbean. The shallow underwater coral formation called Navidad Bank is about 62 miles off the coast of the Dominican Republic, and it is one of the world's most densely populated humpback whale breeding grounds. They typically spend much of the year in colder waters where they feed on krill. And then as ocean waters warm, they migrate toward the breeding grounds around the world. And that includes some areas of the Caribbean. I'm going to play that again. It's hard to see them all, but oops, apparently there's a lot of them down there. You can kind of see the outlines of them down below. So cool. And I think also relaxing to look at, right? At least it relaxes me to watch video of whales. I can never get enough of it. So the chief conservation officer for the Dominican Republic, again, is talking about how creating sanctuaries and safe places for these whales to migrate and to breed and to be has made just this huge difference. The observations, they say, culminated with a total of 513 whale sightings in a single day. The event more incredible knowing that the whales were congregating far before the peak migration period, actually spanning March and April. The researchers say we've seen a profound shift toward travel that yields a sense of purpose through genuine exploration. The guests are increasingly investing their resources into moments that contribute understanding to the natural world. So, pretty cool. They're going to be presenting the findings on this breeding ground to the International Whaling Commission, trying to emphasize the role of this Navidad Bank in helping some of the beautiful whales thrive. So, pretty incredible story and beautiful video as well. I have to love that. I have a story for you about an old coin that was found. Metal detectorists are at it again, and they find this Viking Age gold coin that could change what we think and what we know about history. They found it about a half hour's drive from the University of Cambridge, a 9th century gold coin pendant. Now, it's not abnormal to find coins and old stuff under the soil in the UK. This newly discovered coin, though, is not like the others that have been found. One of these things is not like the others. This one could rewrite history, they say. It's a head scratcher because of the bearded profile of St. John the Baptist and a Latin inscription that shows that it is St. John the Baptist. But what the experts don't understand is why the Vikings, who had conquered the English kingdom of East Anglia, where this coin was found, and who were not Christians, minted or wore a coin with a Christian saint on it. Why would pagans want a coin with a Christian on it? They don't know. There's an expert that was interviewed on the BBC who compared the coin to a child trying to fit a hexagonal object into a square hole. He said the coin just doesn't fit into history the way it should, which suggests that we may have some of our history facts wrong. Maybe pagan Vikings like to wear pendants showing Christian saints as a way to kind of assimilate into the Christian population. Or maybe they say a Christian East Anglian wore the pendant, or maybe a Christian Viking wore the pendant. They don't know. Most historians believe the invading Danes were pagan, not Christian. But that one small coin might shake up the story and rewrite the landscape, the cultural landscape about what we know in the 9th century in this part of the world. So they're trying to figure it out. I mean, maybe it could be that something as simple as it was stolen. Who knows? Who knows? But they're trying to rethink everything they thought they knew now. A story, speaking of God movies, a story about the Cloud of Turin, Jesus's burial cloth. Is it? Or is it a medieval forgery? And trying to figure it out using DNA evidence on the Shroud of Turin. And they did a DNA analysis of it, which revealed traces of various plants and animals and various humans as well on this cloth. But the results are, people are skeptical of the result. They don't believe the DNA. It's complicating the debate even more. It's a mix of plant, animal, and human DNA. The scientists describing the results in a study posted in March to a preprint server, bioRxiv. It has not been peer reviewed yet, this study. That they think that since this object has been touched by people coming from distant places, as well as other objects from distant places, that it's contaminated now in various ways, and there probably is no possibility of reconstructing all the stages and the point of origin. That, according to a historian at the University of Turin in Italy, who was involved in this new study. So this rectangular cloth has the imprints of a man on the front and the back. The injury is consistent with the crucifixion. There are numerous stains on it. Some people think the man was Jesus of Nazareth and the stains are his blood, but radiocarbon dating suggests this shroud was made sometime between 1260 and 1390. That would be more than a millennium after Jesus was said to have been crucified. Some scholars say the shroud was likely crafted with a four-shafted treadle loom that wasn't even invented until the Middle Ages. There's a study published last year suggesting the image on the shroud was probably created by placing it on top of low relief sculptures rather than wrapping it around a human body. But however all of that happened, the shroud has collected quite a bit of DNA over the centuries. And they have collected samples from this cloth. With using modern techniques, they thought, okay, let's see what we see. They identified genetic material from numerous animals, including cats, dogs, chickens, cows, goats, sheep, pigs, horses, deer, rabbits, found the traces of fish from a gray mullet to Atlantic cod and ray-finned fishes, marine crustaceans, flies, aphids, arachnids. This thing's been around for a long time, so I guess it's seen a lot of action. The shroud contains DNA from various plants, including carrots, wheat, peppers, maize, tomatoes, bananas, peanuts. Some of these species have long been agricultural fixtures in Europe and the Mediterranean, but others weren't introduced from the Americas until at least the 16th century. So if they look at all of these things together, they say it highlights the significant environmental contamination of the shroud that likely occurred in recent centuries that followed the voyages of Marco Polo and Christopher Columbus. They say their investigation revealed the presence of Mediterranean red coral, so it's possible the cloth either originated or passed through the Mediterranean regions. But they say that traces may also have come from coral crucifixes or rosaries placed in contact with the cloth. They identified DNA from multiple humans, including from the man who collected some DNA samples 5 decades ago. Nearly 40% of the human DNA comes from individuals of Indian heritage, finding that aligns with earlier research suggesting the shroud may have been made in India. And the scientists did radiocarbon dating on 2 threads from the shroud. One dates from between 1541 and 1622, the other between 1642 and 1800. And they say that time range matches with 2 instances when the shroud was repaired and conserved after a fire. So there are outside experts that are skeptical of these findings. One says, a paleogeneticist in Stockholm says, I see no reason to doubt that the shroud is French. All right. Others say there's a lot of legwork that needs to be done to actually convince me of any of these results. So I don't know what good the results are if no one's going to believe them. It's DNA analysis. I guess we're just going to believe what we want to believe. Another story about old stuff. This one is about some armor. It was found under a Japanese temple, and it's been linked to an ancient Korean kingdom. They're confirming the origins of this armor 70 years after it was found. The suit of armor was found beneath one of Japan's most prominent historical sites. And researchers say now they can finally trace it. It's 1,400-year-old armor back to Korea, one of Korea's 3 major empires dating back to the 18th century BCE. This is a time when Buddhism truly began to emerge in Japan and become more popular. Monks arrived from mainland China and Korea. And they say few places represent this monumental cultural shift more than the Asuka-dera Temple complex. It's about 23 miles southeast of Osaka. Ancient documents, including the second oldest history of Japan, the Nihon Shoki, say craftsmen and monks from the Baekje Kingdom in Korea helped build that temple complex. That was one of the 3 kingdoms of Korea, the Baekje. Archaeologists say the armor fragments that were found beneath a pagoda's foundation, uncovered during excavation work in 1957, resembled armor previously linked to the Baekje royal sites in Korea, but at the time, in the 50s, the technology wasn't advanced enough to give them a real definitive answer. But now, with X-ray and 3D imaging, they've examined it a little more closely, and they say, yes, it was crafted by interlacing small iron plates with cords into what's known as a lamellar structure. This provided the wearer with a solid protection without sacrificing flexibility. They had found similar armor excavated between 2011 and 2014 at a historic complex about 50 miles southwest of Seoul. So they're very similar. And now that they can examine it more closely, they say this is Korean in nature. So that's pretty cool to have some more information on that. Like that. I also have a story for you about these two water spouts that were caught on camera in Boston. And I think I have video of these water spouts. This is kind of cool. Let me take this away so that I can show you this really interesting weather phenomenon. Two at one time.
Waters near Castle Island. What do you think that is? A viewer, Michael from Walpole, sent us this footage of a water spout-like event. Storm Team 5's AJ Burnett joins us now. If I saw that, I'm probably taking a run.
Yeah, you know what? It was definitely kind of interesting. Yeah. And there's a whole lot more to this here. Let me show you first off where this was. If you're familiar with South Boston here, I just took you into Boston. Let's take you a step further. This is where Castle Island is, Pleasure Bay. And I've shown you where where Michael was standing roughly when he shot that video. The yellow arrow, that's the second time I've done this hour, is the direction that the vortex was traveling. And the red polygon is kind of his field of view. Now, here's what's interesting here. If you looked at the airport configuration to Logan Airport just to the north, and Eddie, one of our eagle-eye viewers of the noon broadcast, pointed this out. He saw the same thing 3 years ago in almost the same exact spot. Aircraft were landing on runway 4 right, I believe, at 6:30 this morning. So that means the exhaust coming from those very low-flying aircraft might very well have caused this. Take a look at it once again. This is why this is so incredibly interesting, right? We can't tell whether or not that's reaching up to the cloud. There wasn't a lot of instability today for this to form into what we think of as a water spout. The other thing, if you keenly look at this video, the closer vortex seems to be spinning clockwise, which is opposite what a tornado or any sort of funnel mostly would be doing. Normally, those are, clockwise. These are clockwise rotating systems. So I'm leaning toward maybe this was caused by an aircraft that came up over the top of Castle Island and produced this phenomenon, especially since Eddie, one of our viewers, wrote in about that. It made me wonder, that seems...
Okay, that's cool, right? So interesting, the things that happen, things that we see. I wanted to bring you this story. I love how the picture is just kind of floating over me there. I wanted to bring you this story, and we've talked about it before, but I want you, if you are as concerned about this as I am, to talk to the teenagers in your life about energy drinks, because that's what they drink. More than soda, more than anything else, they are always walking around with these energy drinks. In this case, it's kind of a cool looking energy drink. It's Hawaiian shave ice flavors. This would attract me were I a teen. It's called Alani Nu, and it's this energy drink. Has about 200 grams of caffeine per can. Well, there's a family in Texas suing. They say the death of their 17-year-old daughter, who had no pre-existing heart conditions, but yet died of an enlarged heart, was what they say caused by ingesting large amounts of caffeine. Her name was Larissa Rodriguez, and she was a college-bound high school student in Velasco, Texas. And she died in October. And her family's attorney said the medical examiner for Hidalgo County in Texas determined her cause of death was an enlarged heart due to stress and large amounts of caffeine. She drank Alani Nui all the time. And they say it has inadequate warnings about the serious cardiac risks that this product brings. The family says she had no pre-existing heart condition or heart-related problems. The medical examiner tested for a bunch of different drugs, everything negative, not one trace of alcohol, drugs, anything. The only thing she had in her system was caffeine. She was a teenager who played tennis. She was a cheerleader. She, again, was college bound. Her life was cut short. And the family is now suing the distributors, Glazer's Beer and Beverage and Glazer's Beer and Beverage of Texas. They distribute these beverages to Arkansas, Iowa, Louisiana, Nebraska, Oklahoma, Texas. The company hasn't responded yet. But I talked to my 16-year-old daughter about it, and she said, yeah, a lot of people at school drink these. It has the same amount, by the way, as the Celsius drinks as well, which I've seen my daughter drinking, and I've told her, don't do that. There's Larissa before her death. I think we got a problem. You know, the kids drink these. I know I sound like such an old. The kids these days, they drink these giant cans of energy drinks, and then they open up another one. And then they have another one in the afternoon, and they don't realize that if they had maybe stuck to one, maybe it wouldn't have been so bad. But when you're consuming a bunch of these cans and it's got that much caffeine, I have serious worries for teenagers that are drinking these things. So I wanted to bring that to your attention. And again, this drink is Alani Nu is the drink. It's not, it's this one happened to, according to the family, be associated with the death of Larissa. But there are many of these types of drinks on the market that I think are concerning. We will end it on a more upbeat note. How about a lotto of the day? The Maryland woman has won her second big lottery prize after 14 years. She's so lucky. Her name is Cheryl. Cheryl won $100,000 from a scratch-off lottery ticket 14 years after winning $50,000 from a drawing game. She told lottery officials she stopped at the town center market on Queensberry Road in Riverdale to pick up some lottery tickets while she was on her way to a bingo game. Cheryl's a bit of a gambler, you see. She said she scratched off her tickets during a break at the bingo game and discovered one of them, a $5 million fortune ticket, was a $100,000 winner. She said it was especially surprising because she'd won 50 grand from a bonus match 5 drawing back in 2012. She plans to use this money to pay some bills, make some home renovations, take a little vacation. Cheryl's got it all figured out. Then there's this guy, also from Maryland. His first ever lottery ticket. First time he ever bought a scratch off in his life. Beginner's luck gets him a $50,000 prize. I would say that's his first, but it won't be his last. He's from Cantonsville. He says he's a lottery skeptic, and his stance on buying tickets has now softened. He saw another customer at the Liberty Shell station win $400. So he thought, well, I'll see what happens for me. So he pulls out a $5 and decides to buy a ticket for his wife, who likes to play lottery games. He selects, as his very first scratch-off ticket ever, a $5 Mosaic money ticket. And at dinner that night, he and his wife scratched it off, and it turns out to be a $50,000 winner. They are going to use the winnings to put a down payment on a new house. He called his win a miracle blessing. He says he has no intention of buying any more lottery tickets. He doesn't know about Cheryl. See, you can win more than once. But he's good with this. It's going to let them buy their first house. So that's amazing. And that is the lotto of the day. All right, you guys, I'm going to send you off into your weekend. Before I do, though, I just want to thank everyone who takes the time to send messages, contribute to the show, all the ways that you keep the after party live on the air are so, so, so appreciated. And by air, I don't mean traditional air. Of course, I mean the old YouTube and podcast air. So, Wes, thank you for yet another contribution today. Every day you throw in a 5, and I just so appreciate it. Deidre has her recurring payment from PayPal pop through. Delette has her recurring payment from PayPal pop through. Kathy O, Chris H, You guys are awesome. Those are the most recent names that have popped up on the show PayPal account, and you can find that information in the show description every day and in the About tab as well. So huge thank you. You guys are amazing. I hope you have a really wonderful weekend. We don't need to look at the lottery anymore. Make it a very good weekend, and I'll meet you back for the Mark Thompson show on Monday. Mark will not be here. I think it'll be Michael Schur, but there's a question mark on that. So I don't know for sure, but we're having a show. There will be a show, and the show will go on. Have a good weekend, everybody. Bye.
The After Party Live would like to thank the following contributors and viewers like you.
Tiny bubbles in the wine makes me happy, makes me feel fun. Tiny bubbles makes me warm all over, with the feeling that I'm gonna love you till the end of time.
Thanks, BW Rock. Appreciate it. Oh, look, you have music there too. Music notes. We're a musical family, so I appreciate it. Thank you for the contribution.